EVs are too dear, I hear. Then an absolute flurry of really cheap EVs arrived with two of them priced at less than £17,000. And all the big names. Has the world gone mad? Which do I choose? I'm Dave. This is Dave Takes It On. Now, the two EVs under £17,000, going to pass on for now. Both herald from China. One is a Dacia Spring, the other the Leapmotor T03. Both are finely assembled in Europe, but they're made in kit form in China, and many have an aversion to China. You will learn they do a perfectly good job on your Apple iPhone, your MacBook Pro and Nike trainers, and they do an equally good job on cars these days. Well, for those who don't pay cash and take out a loan, I'll include a typical lease offer, although several of the models are too recent to be readily available yet. At least the available ones will give you an idea of what the others are likely to be. As always, please subscribe, it makes a huge difference. For maximum choice, you need to turn to Stellantis. Yeah, you heard. It's Stellantis, the one who said last year that they couldn't make budget EVs. They couldn't make a profit. The one who said China would destroy the European EV industry. Yeah, that's Stellantis. They field a range of no less than 4 cracking budget EVs, all of them under £25,000 brand new, ready to go. In the UK. Half of them you can buy now, the rest later this month or next month. And a couple more are promised later this year. What a turnaround. Well, for balance, I'll include the absolutely iconic Renault 5 and the always popular brand new budget entry from Hyundai with the Inster. Spoiler alert, my top pick is the Fiat Grande Panda. Keep watching as I reveal why. Well, for a little bit of history, last year Stellantis and many others decided to challenge the UK government and the EU Commission over EV targets and mandates in a show of strength. They lost and ended up buying a huge number of credits from Tesla, so this year they set about never having to do that again. Hence a flood of new budget EVs, which, to be fair, were already well in the pipeline, just held back. VW, meanwhile, keep promising the ID2, but now it seems likely 2026 at the earliest. Talk about missing the boat. I'm going to provide head-to-head specs for these 6 models shortly, but the most interesting one by far is the Vauxhall Frontera. Remember Vauxhall? Closing UK factories, abandoning EVs, those mainstream media headlines just a short while back. Seems they were a bit premature. Ellesmere Port is the home of the new Frontera EV, alongside Slovakia, where they trade under the Opel banner. Interesting because it seems the petrol version is now totally out of fashion, but the hybrid and the full EV are both on offer at exactly the same price. Yes, you heard correctly. Stellantis broke ranks, decided to offer full price parity. If you decide the Frontera is the car for you, you can choose the powertrain based on your needs, not the price. The price is $23,495. Obviously, that's for both the hybrid and the BEV. If you lease, you'll find a typical 48-month lease on offer for about £3,000 down and about £350 a month based on 5,000 miles, about average miles for a budget or a second car. Note all prices were checked on the manufacturer's relevant websites on the 1st of February. Yes, I'm fully aware discounts and offers will often be available. Some of them I actually show. Well, the Frontera finds itself to be the longest and the tallest and the biggest boot, but not the heaviest. The Frontera also features the LFP batteries that many now prefer. It's quite a big car in this budget end of the market. For range, you're going to get about 155 miles average. Now, for those new to EVs, let me explain. Unlike petrol cars, the range you get from an electric car varies quite widely. In the winter, with a cold battery and belting down the motorway flat out at legal speed limit, you could be getting nearer to about 105 miles. While if you're just poodling around the town in the spring or summer, you could easily see 240 miles. It's that variable. If you just commute 10-20 miles each day, Makes no difference at all, especially if you can charge at home. We'll always set off each day with a full battery. This is a big car for a relatively small budget. Now, at the other extreme, still with Stellantis, the new fashion statement that is the Fiat 500e is a very small car at a very much higher price and even lower range. At least I think so. Fiat's remarkably complicated to understand. They seem to say that the 24 kilowatt hour battery is now out of date, but still offer a base model in February with a range of 118 miles that clearly implies that's a 24 kilowatt hour battery. The all-new Giorgio Armani edition at £33,000 also states range of 118 miles. Surely it can't be doing just 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour. And of course, not, because the larger power motor, the 87 kilowatt, now shows a range of 180 miles. So clearly that's a bigger battery, but also an NMC battery, as is the 24 kilowatt hour. And a much bigger price, now out of the league of this video, that's over 31,000. Nowhere does Fiat show the battery size. You really have to get off the Fiat sites to find out. Now, £25,000 for a 24 kilowatt hour battery, 118 mile range, which could drop as low as 60 miles on a cold winter's morning on a motorway, this cannot be a serious contender when for 3k less you can get 100 miles more range and a boot big enough almost to get the Fiat 500 into. On the lease, you get to pay nearly £1,000 more deposit and nearly a massive £100 a month more, at over £420 on the same 48-month lease deal. This 500e seems to be a throwback to when Stellantis said they couldn't make a small EV, and this sort of proves it. This is not for me. Renault lines up next. The Retro 5 is a great concept, but it's a small car. Very small, in fact. Third smallest, beaten only by the Inster and the Fiat 500. More on the Inster in a moment. It's also heavier, courtesy of the NMC battery pack, which might well put some people off. Now, they're much improved from a few years ago, but reputations stick. I'm happily driving around with a 9-year-old NMC battery that's perfectly safe and healthy, and I can confirm that I've not yet burned to death. Not even close. But it's also much bigger, 52 kilowatt hour, the Renault 5 offering the best range of the bunch at 200 miles. Even in winter, you're likely to get over about 140 miles, and that could be important to some, but not as many as think it's important. What is notable is the roofline. This is the 5. It's not an SUV as such, it's just more of a hatchback. SUVs seem to offer better headroom, Frontera being about 6 inches taller. 150 millimeters in Italian speak. The boot is not going to get 2 large suitcases for your 2 weeks in Torremolinos. Lucky for you, the seats fold down, unlucky for the kids. It's classy, it's iconic, it will be a bestseller, goes a long way, has heritage. That doesn't quite make up in my book for value for money. It's a great price, $23,000 for a budget Renault 5 EV, but there may be better you could spend $23,000 on. Or lease one and find out why I slated the Fiat 500. You can get iconic Renault 5 for just over £2,000 down and then just over $250 a month for the same 48 months. This is a slam dunk no-brainer if you lease. I'm 6'3", so not my cup of tea or glass of Beaujolais Nouveau, but it's going to be perfect for many. French again with Citroen and the E-C3, which has been around for a little while now. Good size, SUV, so a bit more headroom, good range, 160 miles. Unlikely ever to get down to anywhere close to 100 miles, even if you're up in the French ski resort, the top of a mountain, in the height of the season. And at last, back to the LFP batteries. So you charge at home, whack them up to 100% overnight, drive them until they scream empty, get the full range, none of this 80 to 20% malarkey. But of course, this is not what happens in the real world, but it's surprising how many people absolutely believe this is how it is. So just pander to their whims, get them into an EV until they learn better. Well, this is a good size EV, bit on the basic side, but comfortable. It's French. Good range, good space, good price. And the lease is great too, just under £2,500 up front, just over £250 a month based on 48 months, 5,000 miles. So don't go up and down too many French mountains. I personally have always favoured French for the comfort as opposed to the harder ride of the German cars. Well, it's horses for courses. But this is a good all-round second budget car. And right now, of course, there's zero vehicle excise duty. Why, Hyundai take the award for trying and failing to be the smallest by a whisker. It is really small. And that is with a return to NMC batteries, which pack more power density into a smaller space. That's the only way they can get a larger space inside with such a small outside. Range, well, bang on average, but charging speed down from an average 100 kilowatts for the others to 73 kilowatts here. Mostly you're going to get about 60, but it's got a much smaller battery, 39 kilowatt hours, so it will charge quicker. In fact, if you allow about half an hour, the whole bunch of these budget EVs will charge up. Range bang on average, but an incredibly tiny boot. Well, that actually varies because the rear seats slide. It's also the only car that allows all 4 seats to fold down flat. Definitely not to be tried while you're driving. So it actually offers the largest boot when all the seats are folded down. But surely that's cheating. This Hyundai, but it is built down to a price. But it's got a few goodies thrown in, like vehicle to grid and some great DAS, driver assistance systems. If you like small, this is about the best of the small EVs. So finally, get to the Fiat Grande Panda. I had the Citroen Grande Picasso diesel a while back, and Grande simply means much bigger on the same chassis. Bit longer, bit wider, bit taller, often a bit boxier to allow much more use of the internal space. And that's most welcome. That sums up the Panda. I often rent the petrol version of these on holiday as they have plenty of room, legroom and headroom for my 6'3", and they're cheap as chips, as it is here. And the car is, well, let me put it politely, quirky or distinctive in a nice way. For those leasing, most are not giving a firm price yet, but expect under 3k up front and under £300 a month. Well, like Ford, VW simply take all take the same platform, plonk on similar body shells. IDs look like Explorers, look like so many others. I like difference, a bit of thought. This has it in oodles. It's a good size. Once again, back to LFP batteries now. Back up to 160 mile range. Not getting down to anywhere near 100, even in a beast from the east, but well over 230 in a heat wave, as long as you don't turn on your air conditioning. Out of all the cars here, this seems to me to be the best all-round package. The Goldilocks. Not the biggest, not the smallest, not the dearest. Actually, it is the cheapest. It's quirky and distinctive. It's a nice all-round package. So, should you go and buy one? No! Don't be daft! Don't ever let anyone else tell you what to buy. I've told you what you should look out for and what some of the things you should be looking at. But if the latest designer model is absolutely top of your shortlist and technology is nowhere in sight and you never drive more than 10 miles without getting car sick and you've got 35k to spend, then forget my list. Just go and get the Fiat 500e Giorgio Armani Collector's Limited Edition with a green colour simply to die for. Great alloy wheels that are unique and a signature on the dash I suspect is actually written by Giorgio himself. That's assuming he's still alive. It includes a list of fabulous extras like drone view 360-degree parking, electrochromatic rear view mirror, and a fix and go puncture repair kit. Seriously, I don't test drive these cars for you. I am 6'3". You might be 5'2". I prefer a soft ride. You might like a harder ride. I love a minimalist dash like the Tesla. You may prefer the 93 button switches, dials, levers, knobs and sliders I counted up on a recent BMW Model 5 hire car. Yeah, I got the photos to prove it. There were more buttons and knobs on the steering wheel alone than on my whole Tesla Model S. Amazing. You might want to use this video just as a guide to see what's important to you and help you choose your own shortlist. From there, just go and sit in them. Don't drive them yet, just go and sit in them. Check the boot space, check the seats for the kids, if you've got any, check your headroom, the legroom, ease of getting in and out, controls, position of those controls, just how it feels to sit in it. Then pick the one you like the best and go and test drive that one first. That's going to be your benchmark. Then go and test any others that you liked. In the end, choose the one that best suits you. All I can hope for is that my list and my choice helps you get there quicker, shortens and simplifies your journey to finding your ideal EV. And if this helps in any way, I would love to hear from you what you did choose, which features were the most important. I'm Dave. If you have enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And if you click the notification bell, we can notify you every time we launch a vehicle. And a massive thank you to our Patreon members for your support. Without you, we would not be able to make as many videos. Thanks to all. I'm Dave.